Thanks, Pratik, for that. So, yeah, I'm Peter Kelly, VP of Engineering, super technical, can figure out any audio presentation problems on the spot. I'm Irish, in case you didn't realize by the accent. So I traveled over for KubeCon. I was actually in San Francisco last week and flew down to Atlanta. I kind of packed my shorts and expected a bit of a holiday until I got out of the hotel this morning. So even for an Irish person, it is bloody cold. There's two temperatures up here. Guess which one is Cork and guess which one is Atlanta, Georgia. In the middle of November back in Ireland, it's currently warmer than here, which maybe that's expected. Certainly something I didn't expect. So hopefully people are warmed up in this room. It's a bit nicer in here for sure. Hopefully not too warm so you fall asleep. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to give just a little bit of a background about Tigera and Project Calico for anyone who doesn't know it or may not be super familiar with what we do. I'll move on pretty quickly then to what we're proud to announce this year in Calico Open Source. There's a lot of stuff here, so I'll take my time going through it. And the rest of the agenda is really to kind of to double click, as they say, into those topics. So you'll have some of the engineers go through some of these new features in much greater detail than I'm going to cover in this session. Those engineers will be happy to answer questions as we go. There's a Q&A at the end of every session, and then we also have like an AMA that we plan to do towards the end of the day as well. We're really focused on in the releases for Calico Open Source this year in putting kind of more powerful observability features in your hands as open source users, something that we've kind of built and battle hardened at scale in our commercial solutions for several years, and I'm kind of proud to bring that to open source, and I'll walk through some of the kind of exciting features that we have in observability. We'll also touch on our Calico Cloud. How many people are familiar with Calico Cloud with our SaaS platform? Nobody, okay, maybe one person, okay. So we have a SaaS platform, it's called Calico Cloud, and we, for the first time, will allow you to connect any open source cluster to a free forever tier to kind of give you enhanced observability and functionality from a SaaS platform, if you're interested in that. So I'll walk through some of that as well. Touch on some of the other highlights that we have for the session. And I'm going to attempt a demo of some of our new features just to showcase them. Adil's going to go into much greater detail on some of these in his demo that he's going to show. But we'll see how we get on, and bear with me as we attempt a live demo from my Mac in my terminal with this setup. So that's the agenda. We'll get cracking, get into it, and see how we get on. Okay. All right. So Tigera is the company behind Calico. I think most of you raised your hands earlier in terms of familiarity with Tigera, which is great. We have what we call our pluggable data planes. So some of you may know that we have more than one. We have our long-standing iptables data plane, battle-hardened over many, many years at scale. And actually 5 years ago, we introduced our eBPF data plane. So we also have an eBPF data plane. We are going to announce today that we also have our NFTables data plane generally available to replace iptables eventually. And I'll touch on that later on in the presentation. We also support Windows as a data plane, and Cisco generously worked and committed VPP-based data plane to Calico Open Source as well. You can switch your data plane at runtime. I'm not sure if anyone's tried that, but next time you have a Calico cluster, maybe not in production, give it a go, switch from iptables to BPF, play around, and then switch back again. It's pretty fun. And obviously then we support pretty much every Kubernetes distribution under the sun and all the new ones that continuously get added over time as well. Just to go back and kind of cover some of that history building up to this latest release. I think Pratik touched on it. So back in 2014, Calico was actually born for OpenStack, Calico was originally written in Python, and we actually still support that today. And we have users and actually paying customers who work with OpenStack and refuse to migrate to Kubernetes and are perfectly happy with that and the capabilities that it offers them in their networking stack. And we fully support that still. So that almost kind of predates and kind of in parallel with the creation of Kubernetes. 2015 then we made our first open source release officially and went public on GitHub. And this project was very much community driven from day one as we rewrote and pivoted to a Golang based solution for Kubernetes. In 2016 we founded a company, Tigera, to kind of be stewards and guardians for that project to make sure we continue to survive and thrive in the Kubernetes ecosystem. As I mentioned before, we added eBPF in 2020. So actually over 5 years ago, I think it was February 2020, we released the first version of our eBPF based data plane. And we use eBPF throughout Calico. It's not just on the data plane. We use it for XDP to accelerate packets for service mesh. We use it for threat detection in some cases as well. So it's quite pervasive now across the engineering team and our product. We continue to evolve all of the products and capabilities, and as I mentioned, launching enterprise and up to today, where we are a modern platform for AI workloads, as well as all other workloads running in Kubernetes. And as we will show you now with 3.30, which was April, I believe, and 3.31, which is only a few weeks ago, we'll introduce some of these concepts to you. Is anyone here familiar with Calico tiered policy and staged network policy? No, brilliant, excellent, great. Okay, fantastic. So that's going to make this presentation more interesting. So these have been in our commercial product for a while, and they provide some really cool advanced policy capabilities that I'll talk about and I'll demo at the end as well. We're very much in love with Kubernetes at Calico. It's hopefully a mutual relationship. We've essentially helped to build and shape Kubernetes network policy right from the start. So if you've ever tried Kubernetes policy, a direct Kubernetes network policy, a lot of that API and the evolution of it was influenced by Calico over the years, and we helped shape that in the special interest groups in Kubernetes, which we continue to be involved in. Even with current and new APIs, so some people might have heard of a new API called Cluster Network Policy API now. It's in development. It's about to hit beta. The name used to be ANP, so Admin Network Policy Base. Admin Network Policy, and that's been combined now to Cluster Network Policy. So we've been helping to shape that in the SIG Network group. Sean Crampton, who's based over in the UK, heavily involved in that as we help to shape that. And we actually have an implementation of it available in Calico Open Source already as well. As I mentioned, if you look on GitHub, you look at SIG Network and you go back into the history there, we have Casey Davenport, who's one of the emeritus leads. So he holds that high honor, even though he's retired from SIG Network, he holds that high honor. And he's here today. I don't see him in the room yet. He's possibly outside. Casey's here today, and he'll help answer any of the questions that anyone has, either at the end of this session or in the AMA, or indeed at the coffee break. Just go find Casey and pick his brain. So where are we with Project Calico today? So very, very active project. Thriving open source project. We have actually 6,800 stars now, almost 10,000 Slack channel members for our community, and almost up to 400 contributors now to the project. Overall, we've made over 2,000 releases of Calico Open Source. We see about 2,000 views of the GitHub project a day, and we've made 14 releases so far this year, which includes some patch and fixed version releases as well. We hold a community meeting once a month, the second Wednesday of every month, I believe it's still on. Please do attend if you're interested in learning more about Calico or even contributing to it. Here we have about, this is the commits to the project over the last 2 weeks. So we average around 40 commits to the project at the moment, week over week. 40 commits every day, week over week. So very active project. So the last slide, kind of building up to everything, this is kind of where we stand today with some additional stats that we're quite proud of in the project. So that we know of, we power 8 million nodes, 1 million clusters, some Docker stats that are quite high. We support over 50,000 enterprises. Those enterprises make up over half of the Fortune 100, and from our data that we can gather, Calico is running in about 166 countries. We used to have a map of all of these countries in the office on the TV screens. We don't have it anymore, but it's pretty cool. All right, so all of that kind of preamble and build-up takes us to what's new in Calico. So this combines the 3.30 release and the 3.31 release. These are the two major releases of open source this year. If anyone is running Calico, does anyone know if you're yet running 3.30 or 3.31? No, nobody yet. Cool, great. It's even more exciting. So this is all new to everyone. So let's go ahead. So this is a list of what we've delivered. These are the major highlights. So we have a gRPC-based API, and this gives you access to kind of a rolling, time-based flow of our network flow logs. So for the first time in open source, you can see and inspect and observe all of the network traffic that's flowing throughout your cluster. This has been in our commercial product for a while, and Goldmain is a unique open source implementation of this capability. Built on top of Goldmain, we have open sourced UI for the first time. So up until now, our UI for Calico was available in Calico Enterprise and Calico Cloud. And now we have a fully open source web application written in TypeScript and React, and as part of Project Calico. This then builds on top of the Goldmain API, and I'll show both of these working together shortly. We have also added staged network policy, so both global and regular network policy. What does this do? Essentially, it allows you to do a dry run of network policy before you press the big button and break your cluster. So this will allow you to do a dry run. The cool thing about this is it actually is down at the data plane, and you do see the network flow logs and what policy would have been applied to that flow log. So it's not quite simulated. It's actually, you kind of get really interesting feedback on what might be blocked or denied if you would have implemented that policy, and I'll show that again in a second. We've also added tiers. So tiers allow a kind of precedence to your network policy, and it's an OR-backed feature. So you might have a security team that wants to have a higher order preference network policy that applies across a cluster that nobody can change. And then you might want your application developers to have the ability to create some network policy for their applications or in a specific namespace. So by ordering the tiers and giving precedence to them, you can create really complex, really interesting OR-backed order precedence for your network policies for different teams in your organizations. I'll show a demo of this as well. And tiers really has allowed Calico to implement cluster network policy very, very quickly, that new policy that's going to be in Kubernetes soon. We've also added support for Calico Ingress Gateway. That's going to be a demo in a later session after coffee. And I'll be back. You'll have to listen to me again. And I'll show a little bit more about how we built that, why we built it the way we did, and what exactly it does. It's based on Envoy Gateway. As I mentioned before, open source clusters can now be connected, if you feel like it, to our Calico Cloud Free Forever tier, and really excited to show a demo of that in a while. We also have some interesting features that may be even more relevant for you than the previous ones. We've introduced IP address management for load balancer IP service types. We've added advanced quality of service controls at a really fine-grained level of quality, so packet rate, connection limit, and bandwidth. And I believe Pedra's going to show some of this later in eBPF. And we have released NFTables, so I have a different slide on that in a second. It should be interesting for people to understand a little bit more about this and why they may want to use it in Calico going forward. So in terms of our observability, just moving on to our UI, I'll show a live demo in a second. This is a screenshot of what we're working on in Calico Whisker, so it's available in your cluster. You don't have to do anything special. If you install Calico using our operator, Whisker is there for you. You can port forward and access this in your browser and start poking around and looking at flow logs that are flowing. It allows you to filter on policy to see what policy might have affected your traffic flows. Lots of interesting features I'll show in a second as I move through the demo. The real benefit of this is the impact that policies may be having on your network traffic. If you've ever had to troubleshoot anything or face an outage, the more tooling you have at your disposal, the better. You can pause the network flows as they're going through your system and restart them without dropping anything from the UI. So you can take a break and analyze something that you think is particularly interesting, and then restart the network flows in Whisker and continue on debugging from where you left off. So this is really a troubleshooting and debugging tool that we're offering to the community to get started with. Goldmain is the API behind this, so if you're more API driven, it would be very interesting for you to see how this is built and made available to the UI. So this is a streaming gRPC API. I think the time window is set to an hour by default, and it provides like a time series flow of network data, network flow logs that the UI can access in JSON. These are some of the example fields that we have. If anyone wants to see a full breakdown later, just come and ask me and I can show you the API working. It is used by our UI, so it powers what you'll see in a second in Whisker, but it is also obviously accessible as an API in open source, and that means it could be used as an extremely interesting building block as you start poking around with Goldmain and the API that it delivers. There's some extra possibilities here beyond Whisker that you might find interesting to think about. Stage policies, like I spoke about a second ago, stage network policies are all about checking the impact of the policy before you apply it. And this works with regular network policy, but also global network policy. So you can effectively do a dry run and audit the behavior and impact of your policy before it is deployed on your cluster. As I mentioned before, they appear in flow logs, and it can be converted to network policy simply by changing the kind or resource type. So this spec here on the side is exactly the same as a regular Calico network policy spec. The only difference is the kind or the type in the second field, which is called stage network policy here. So I'll show in a second I can apply this to a cluster, and then I can just remove the word stage and I can reapply it, and it'll actually take effect and start blocking traffic. In terms of Calico Cloud, so we can easily connect a Calico Open Source cluster to our free tier. I'll show a demo of this in a second as well, all about the demos. It's a very simple installation. You go sign up for Calico Cloud, for free, grab a manifest and apply that to your cluster, and it starts communicating with our free tier, and then you can uninstall that and disconnect at any time, leaving your cluster in the exact same state as it was before in open source. So it's really a taster for you to go in and explore Calico Cloud and see if you like it. So hopefully everyone here will go to calicocloud.io, sign up for free and connect the cluster and poke around and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it and love to see that. We just announced this back in April. I'll touch on Calico Ingress Gateway a little bit later if you're still around. Hopefully have a little bit more detail on it and a demo of this as well. It's essentially built on Envoy Gateway, and the reason we're adding this is to give a kind of a unified platform for all of your networking needs in one solution. It's kind of was a missing piece in Calico previously at L7. So we have L7 network policy inside the cluster, but at the edge, as you ingress, it was definitely a missing piece for us. So we've added that, and we've definitely had users interested in migrating from their current solution over to Calico Ingress. So that could be of interest to you if you have a current Ingress solution. And I'll talk later about why we're basing it on Envoy Gateway. I'll talk about the history of Ingress and Nginx. I used to work for Nginx and build some of the Ingress controller and manage that team. So I know where all the skeletons are hidden. So I'll have a few interesting tidbits about that later as well. And yeah, it's part of all of our product portfolio. So including in open source since 3.30, with a simple application of an operator resource. You can deploy an Ingress Gateway in your cluster, and then the operator will fully manage the lifecycle of that for you. We will be adding more capabilities to this in open source. Yeah, so as I was mentioning earlier, we have what's called a pluggable data plane. Really happy to announce NFTables GA is in 3.31. NFTables kind of solves a lot of the lookup, linear kind of lookup problems that iptables has suffered from since forever. It's fine unless you have a lot of rules at scale, and then it gets tricky. So NFTables solves a lot of that with sets and maps. We'll publish some performance comparisons soon, not just with our iptables data plane, but also with our eBPF data plane, which I'm really interested to share. Yeah, so it will definitely close the gap if you are not interested in an eBPF data plane and want to stay on star tables. NFTables is a really performant and scalable solution. Of course, you can also use all your existing tools that you want, which is a little bit trickier with eBPF. You can use TCP dump and all of your typical tooling that you would use with iptables with NFTables as well. So that's what that last bullet means in terms of being a standardized Linux component. As I mentioned, we have 5 different data planes now. Most people start with iptables and then try eBPF. We're having a lot more success with people starting with eBPF and maybe experimenting with some of the star table solutions. By default in 3.31, if you're using OpenShift or any kubeadm based installation, you will get eBPF as a default data plane in Calico. It's completely customizable before you hit the button, but by default, if you don't change anything, you'll get started with an eBPF based data plane, and you won't even know you're running it compared to iptables. What I mean by that is, from a feature comparison point of view, there's no difference. All of our features work on all data planes.
That's in 3.30.
Yeah, correct. 3.31. 3.31. Yeah, 3.31. 3.30 had OpenShift as the default, and now 3.31 adds kubeadm based installations. Yeah. Okay. Got to get you up to 3.30. So. Yeah. So what does it mean to be a pluggable data plane? It means you can interface with Calico in terms of configuration, network policy, in exactly the same way without changing anything. And the data plane can be different. So the data plane can be our eBPF-based data plane, which bypasses kubeproxy doesn't use iptables, has better performance at scale because it intercepts the traffic earlier in the networking stack. And there's a talk on eBPF next, so I'm not going to steal too much thunder there. But you can swap these data planes out. That's what we mean by pluggable without changing anything in the way that you're interfacing with Calico. Why would you need this? Well, there's different use cases for different data planes. This is kind of some of our kind of high-level advice and what we see from our different users in our community. eBPF is for high performance, for packet processing, bypasses kubeproxy, like I mentioned. So it's kind of best for kind of advanced performance, really, and scalability. iptables is our most battle-tested. It's been through the wars over the years. Lots of massive companies running around with hair on fire and us helping them to put it out. And that results in a really hardened, robust data plane. And now NFTables builds on top of that as well and continues the standard Linux tooling. And as I mentioned, we also support Windows and Cisco VPP for vector packet processing. I'll maybe just speed up slightly to show a demo. Other notable additions in 3.30 and 3.31. As I mentioned before, IPAM support for service type load balancer. eBPF will be the default data plane in various environments, so check the docs on that. We are enabling users to select specific interfaces for automatic host endpoints. We now support BGP peering with KubeVirt worker nodes in OCP. We have a talk on quality of service, and we also now support Caracal in OpenStack. Like I mentioned, something we continue to support the origins of Calico. So what does the future look like in Project Calico? So we'll continue to pioneer network security in open source and in Kubernetes. We're heavily involved with cluster network policy and the SIG network group that's behind that, and we'll continue to do so. We consider ourselves stewards of Kubernetes network policy and network security, and we'll continue to drive innovation at the data plane level, not just in eBPF, but in all different data planes that we support. We'll continue to maintain feature parity and also innovate in each data plane individually as well. For example, we have maglev load balancing coming in eBPF. Just missed 3.31, and it'll be in our next open source release, which will be pretty interesting for people to take a look at that as well. So lots of innovation coming. We added Ingress Gateway, so this kind of provides that single uniform platform, trying to give more to the community where they can maybe drop a tool here and there and consolidate everything on Calico and open source. And we'll have several announcements at KubeCon over the next few days that you might see around Calico AI and additional use cases for single unified platform. So lots of things coming, lots of exciting announcements this week as well. Yeah, we have a blog. I should have updated this. We have more than one blog now. Obviously, we have 3.31 as well. If you go to any of our website, any of our docs, you'll see all of this very prominently around what we've released. And I will get going with the scary demo. All right. No pressure. Is Casey here outside? He's not here yet? Yeah. No? All right. This is going to be really bad for my eyes to try to see what's happening over here. More? That better? All right. I'm wearing like, I have really bad eyesight. I have like -6.5 in both eyes. So I'm basically like, I have contact lenses in. I have thanks for that. But I forgot to pack my contact lenses, so I had to rush for like this prescription, which isn't quite up to scratch. So I'll be squinting over here to try to make it out. Is that okay? Is the size okay? Yeah. Cool. Perfect. All right. Great. Okay. So what I'll start with is showing what we have running. So I have some demo applications in action. It's going to be a nightmare. All right. Okay. So I have a couple of client applications and a server. Right now, everything should be able to access everything. So let's just test that in action. So, yep, the client can access the server. So these are pods running in Kubernetes. And I'll also try this dodgy client, which we haven't discovered is dodgy yet. And that can also access the server. Great. So what we'll do now is we'll try to, we'll implement some network policy. And this network policy will lock down traffic from the dodgy client to the Echo server. So let me show that working. All right. So this is Calico network policy. We've given the policy a name. This is tiered. We'll come to that in a second, but we give it a name here. This one is called enforce block untrusted. What's very, very handy about this is that our bad guy has a label untrusted, which is very convenient. So we're going to use that label to identify this traffic and match it against this network policy, and it's going to deny that traffic if it is attempting to access the Echo server. All right, so. All right, so that's been applied to the cluster. Good guy can still access the server, and now our bad guy is indeed blocked, which is definitely what we want. So now I'll show that may not be exactly what we wanted. So if we blocked the network traffic accidentally to something, we're kind of stuck, right? We might have an outage at this point. So it'd be kind of cool if we could stage that policy first and then see the effect of that in the cluster. So let's have a look at staging that policy before we try to break it. All right. Okay, so this time we're going to apply a stage network policy. Sorry, let me just show you that everything is back to normal because I deleted that policy so everything can speak to everything. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply the stage network policy. And this stage network policy looks exactly the same as network policy I just showed you, except it has the word staged up here, and it has a different name. This one is in the security tier. It's called deny untrusted. So this one also denies traffic that has the handy label untrusted, but it's a stage policy, so it should not block the traffic. So if we apply that now, what that means is that we should be able to continue to access the good guy should be able to continue to access the server, and the bad guy is now also still able to access the server because that's a stage network policy. Like I mentioned earlier, if I wanted to if I wanted to actually apply this, I could do that quite easily. And now it's blocked again. Yeah. Cool. So that's staging.
Is it net stage object or you have to go in?
You would have to go in and delete it. Yeah, that exists as an object. Yeah, absolutely. So okay, that is stage network policy. I'll show you some tiers. I kind of touched on it there slightly as well. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, it doesn't have a stage one because we applied a real one. That's okay. Yeah, no problem. All right. So I'll just tidy up the policy so we're back to normal. Fantastic. It's just easier to copy and paste sometimes. All right. What did I call that? Sorry, say that again. Great question. So the question was, how can you see what the stage policy is going to do? So that's a great question. Let's jump to there. No, let's jump to there. That's perfect. While I figure out what I want to show with tiers, let's have a look at Whisker, which is our UI. Okay, perfect. Okay, is that okay? Is that big enough, the font? Yeah. So this is Whisker. I've done some filtering here, so let me just remove the filtering and show you what this looks like. This is a continual flow of logs, so you don't have to touch anything. You can just leave it running in your browser, and flows will start appearing here. It's kind of like a loop, so the older ones will get pushed out as new flows come in terms of like a time series element to it. So we can see lots of flows between other components. In Calico system and in Cube system, that's all been captured here, and you can dig down into individual rows on this, which kind of pauses the flow of streams. You can see all of the metadata associated with that network flow, the source name.
This is not showing up. Your domain was.
Oh, it's not. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, can you see that online now?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, apologies, this wasn't showing online. This is Whisker, and this allows you to see all the flows that are happening in your cluster, and you can see the policy that was executed or evaluated for that network flow. So if I try to find one that was denied recently, let's have a look at the demo. I can't read that at all. Source namespace. Okay, demo source namespace, demo destination namespace. That's where the demo pods are running. Let's see what it finds. Okay, interesting. All right. generate some new traffic, and we'll see that being evaluated here. It's going to make a liar out of me now, the curse of the demo. All right, so this traffic is being allowed. There's no policy blocking it at the moment. So if you wanted to apply that stage network policy again, so let's do that. So this stage network policy will mimic or do a dry run of, where are we here? Of denying that traffic. So let's do that. Stage network policy. Perfect. I should have recorded this. It would have been much more smooth, but here we go. It's more fun this way. All right, so let's apply the stage network policy again. Let's verify that we can everything can still communicate with each other. And now let's have a look at Whisker and wait and hope and cross our fingers and toes that we shall see some more flows come through here. And when we do so, we should be able to see that one of those stage network policies would have denied the traffic, to answer your question in a very long-winded way. Boo. All right, perfect. Just what we want. Generate some more flows. While that is loading up, I will take you to another tab in my browser, if I can find my cursor, and show Calico Cloud. So this is the free tier of Calico Cloud. While I've been running this demo and showing all of that to you, it has been connected to our SaaS platform. While it's being connected to the SaaS platform, you can review all of the policies that I've been showing you, and the different tiers manifest here in a policy board, so you can visually inspect the tiers and see which ones are ordered in different ways, what the hierarchy of those policies will be. You can even see something called policy recommendations for free. So this will watch the traffic in your cluster, look at all of the communication that's happening in the flow logs, and then recommend best policy to you. So you can then go and apply to your cluster if you so choose to do so. These are staged network policies, so they're automatically generated, and you can take them for a dry run and then inspect that and verify that they're okay before you accept that recommendation and apply it in your cluster. It's a pretty cool feature. That's only in Calico Cloud free tier. And then you also get our kind of advanced observability service graph, which allows you to see kind of a visual graph representation of everything that's happening in your cluster using flow logs and all of the data. You get this for free when you connect an open source cluster, and you can see here, hopefully the demo namespace has a red kind of ring around it, which means something was denied there recently. There's some traffic connections being dropped, and that's okay because that was my network policy that did that between the dodgy client and the Echo server. I also have some dashboards in here as well for you to inspect, and of course lots of other features that you get if you so choose to look there. Let's see if it's going to be a blocked one. Let's see. There you go. It's a stage network policy, so it allows the traffic, so it doesn't look from the kind of top level here that the traffic would have been denied by the stage network policy, because it wasn't. It's real traffic. We didn't deny it. But when you look into the kind of the details of this network policy flow log, you see that a staged network policy that we called deny untrusted earlier, that's actually blocked, or would have blocked that traffic in reality if you would apply it. So that's all I had for today, for the demo. Did I show tiers? I think I've explained tiers as well. So I'll stop there because I think we're just going slightly over time, are we?
I think we're
A few minutes?
10 minutes, yeah.
Oh, it's 1:15, is it? Okay, okay, cool. I'm sure people will want to grab some coffee as well soon. So what I'll do quickly is I'll just show tiers working super quickly, hopefully. So we'll just remove any policy that we had. Yeah, that's fine. So this is how you create tiers in Calico. So as I said, these are namespace and you give an order preference. So I had 2 tiers already created, the security tier for the security team, the application tier for the developer team. I have put some policy in one place and some policy in another place. So if I wanted so right now everything can talk to everything. So let's just verify that quickly. Perfect. And then I can apply policy as an application developer. That will, not sure why I want to do this, but let's say I do. I'm going to block traffic from untrusted to my app. So as an application developer, I'm going to go and do that. So I need to, let's see, okay. Okay, so I'm going to apply this, and I'm going to show the traffic being stopped, which should be expected. It's just at a lower tier, but there's no policy will evaluate against this traffic in the security tier because we deleted all of that policy. So when this policy gets applied, we will still have the good traffic and, oh, that blocks everything. Great. And let's see the bad traffic. Yeah, blocked everything as well, no problem. That's fine, and what I want to show is that we can override that in the security tier. So if we look at the security tier again, force policy. Let's have one quick look at the security tier, and we're now going to allow traffic here, okay? Okay, so, of course. All right, so let's allow traffic at the higher tier. Okay, so the higher tier overrode the lower tier in terms of preference for that traffic, and it allowed that traffic even though the application team had tried to deny that traffic. And when there was no policy in place in a higher tier, that was perfectly acceptable, and it was evaluated, and that traffic was denied by the application team. In this case, the security team has come along and decided in a higher tier that I only have access to because of my RBAC, I'm going to allow that traffic across my cluster. You're not allowed to deny it as an application developer. So that shows the kind of tiered order preference. Yeah, normally you show the other way around, where the security team will stop the traffic and the application developer will try to allow it. Yeah, we're kind of an upside down demo here, but nothing else worked so far in the presentation, so why not flip it at the end as well. All right, I'll stop there. I'm not sure if you have any other, Casey's not around for any questions now? Okay, cool. So we have a few minutes to chat and ask any questions that anyone might have about anything that I just showed. So thank you for listening. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. And we have Ivan up next, I think, for eBPF. And we'll do a short coffee break then after that. and get into the rest of the session. So I did have one other thing to remind people. I was asked.
Check with Reza on questions. Are there any questions online?
You want me to check with him? Okay.
Responding as well.
No.
If you could ask for the previous survey.
Yeah, let me just bring that up here. I think I have that here. Okay. Yeah, so this is the QR code. If you want to take a capture of it, we'd really appreciate it. Just some feedback on the sessions that you attended. Did you find it useful or interesting and other things like that? And we really would appreciate you to scan that and give us some feedback so we can continue to improve these sessions as we go. Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking online if there's any questions as well. Is there any questions in the room or any thoughts? Okay, so I think Rez is answering a lot of the questions online himself, so yeah. All right, okay, if there's no questions, thanks a million, everyone. Really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.